let's say you go out once a week, every week you go Pier 1, right? And you say, all right, me I walk with 10 grand in my pocket, right? So if you go out once a week and you spend 10 grand, you have 4 weeks in a month. So that's $40,000 you're spending on party every month. But it doesn't sound too bad. But when you look at $480,000, the superlative figure, a year, no, that is going to raise the eyebrow, right? You can't even put weed. Suppose the man will smoke. Let's say you spend, I don't know, I don't know about your weed. But let's say you spend $10,000 for the month. And that's $120,000 you spend per weed every year, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, put as many things on here as possible so that you know how much you're spending per year as well as per month. This helps you a lot with future planning. Welcome to the Common Sense Podcast. Common Sense, make it make sense. Please like, share, and subscribe. Check us out on Spotify at Common Sense University, as well as Common Sense University and all our other socials. So my name is Kamar Jackson. I'll be your host tonight. I'm a real estate investor and a banker by profession. On today's edition, we are doing a special edition where we're talking about budgeting, right? So I'm going to walk you through the Common Sense budgeting tool. Making a family budget is common sense, right? So at the end of the video, I'll show you exactly how to get this budget for free, as well as where to get my book, The Millionaire's Syllabus. Now, before we jump into the budgeting part of it, I just have to say this. Budgeting is when you come on to budgeting now, budgeting requires a mindset shift, right? You can't successfully budget and it's like you live a YOLO lifestyle. Budgeting requires a commitment to your future financially secure self. Therefore, if you wish to financially secure your future, you have to make a commitment to it. Okay. And one of the first commitment is watching this video. All right. You want to know our investment today will reap rewards in the future. So now let's jump into the common sense budgeting, right? So let me go ahead and share my screen. One of the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get Microsoft Excel. If you don't have Microsoft Excel on your laptop or your iPad or whatever it is, you can just go to Google and open Google Sheets. Now, if you don't know how to get access to Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, you can Google it. So I'll leave that part there for the homework. But if you already know how to access it, that's great. Once you download the sheet, you could just open it in Google Sheets or in Microsoft Excel, right? So once you open it, this is what it's going to look like. Now, it's going to be blank, but I'm going to walk you through it, so don't worry about it. All right. So from what we can see here, we have six different headers here. So we have the home expenses. We have, the name John, the name Jane, other, monthly, and yearly. And basically what these are is just a heading to kind of describe what is going to be located in each one of these columns, right? Okay, so first one is the home expenses. Now this is it contains like a category of each one of the type of expenses that you're going to spend on. So whether it's, you're spending on rent, on taxi fare, on grocery, lunch, medication, whatever it is. The second one here, it's just outlining who is paying for these expenses. So whether it's John, whether it's Jane, whether, it's other, and other, it could be a side job. Like, let's say, I don't know, fix fridge on the side or something like that. Anything. As long as you have other income, you can put it in here. Next up, you have monthly and then you have yearly, right? And obviously monthly is going to calculate how much are you spending on this item per month, and yearly shows you how much you're spending on it per year. Right. So these are very important columns. And of course, I'm going to jump into it a little bit later from this. All right. So the next part of it, I just want to show you that, let's say you're a single family household, which means you only have one income. You probably only need one column, right? So you could just leave these blank. You don't need to enter any information here. But if you have two incomes, then, obviously enter information for these other persons, right? If you have more, you can reach out to me and I'll help you out with adding some more. But for now, I'm just going to show you with three different incomes, okay? Next up, we have the different expenses. So we're going to talk about the home expenses and how to categorize these, right? So first one we have here is rent. Now, if you don't pay rent, lucky you, must be nice. Maybe you pay mortgage, right? So you can change this to mortgage, right? Um, Next thing we have here is taxi fare. For taxi, if you don't take taxi, you drive, you can put your car expenses, right? I would recommend separating your car expenses. If you have two cars, also note that as well. So for car expenses, let's say you have a car payment, you can add that, or insurance, whatever it is that you have, you could just add those in there, right? Next up, we have groceries. Now for groceries, obviously that's a very broad category and can have a lot of stuff in there from, cleaning products for your house to vegetables, meat, all kind of stuff you get at the supermarket, right? But it's a broad category for a reason. If you spend at the grocery store, I'd recommend just put it in the grocery section. And if you buy stuff at the market, you got to put that in there, but I'll tell you exactly how that works, right? Lunch, if you bring lunch to work, you don't need to put anything in here. You can even delete it if you want. Or you could just change it from lunch to dining out or something like that, right? We have medication, we have party, we have clothes, we have loans. If you have loans, loan one, loan two. And obviously, don't put loan one, put the actual name of the loan so you can keep track of your payments there. And then we have savings, college funds, investment, the whole works, right? So again, we're going to jump into that some more in a second, but let's move on to the next section. Before we get into the person's paying for it, one more thing I need to mention as well, right? When you're adding your home expenses, right? Ensure you track as much as possible. I want to say everything, and someone would probably say, "Yeah, but how am I gonna track cash expenses?" Right? Me go up on the road with $5,000. We come back with 2,000. How me know me spend the 3 grand on? So stuff like that. You might be able to track it. If you can't, it's fine. What you're gonna do is you're gonna add a category called cash expenses, right? So what you're gonna put in cash expense is, let's say you walk on the road and you see a man a sell a bag of mango, right? And you want to buy half a dozen mango or two guinea or whatever the case is. You make a budget. Let's say your cash budget, and this is Jamaican dollars, by the way, people, don't get too excited, is $5,000 for the month. That's your cash expense. Yeah, so when the $5,000 done, that's it. You stop buying mango. You stop buying guinea, right? Because you spend your $5,000. No, it can be more realistic. You can put $10,000 or whatever, but try to make this as small as possible because again, these are not tracked and you want to see where you're spending your money, right? Again, we have car payment here. So for car expenses, remember I mentioned you could put insurance and stuff like that, but try to categorize everything in different sections so you can track how much you're actually spending. So if somebody come to you and say, "Hey, I can give you a car insurance for," let's say your car insurance was also $5,000, right? Somebody come and say, "Hey, I can give you a car insurance for $3,000." You know how much you're spending on your car insurance. So right away you can say, "Oh, well, if I change it to $3,000, right? Right now I'm spending $60,000 a year on car insurance. If I change it to $3,000 a month, I'm saving $24,000 a year." Right? So that's a good thing with having a budget tracker like this. It allows you to see how much you're really saving, not only in a month, but also in a year. All right, so let's jump into one other section. I'm just going to pass this section here for a second and jump over to the monthly and the yearly. Now, you're probably wondering, why is there a yearly section? And, this is a very good example of why there is a yearly section, right? Because sometimes, let's say you go out once a week, every week you go Pier 1, right? And you say, "All right, me I want with 10 grand in my pocket," right? So if you go out once a week and you spend 10 grand, you have 4 weeks in a month. So that's $40,000 you're spending on party every month, right? Now, $40,000 a month, it kind of sound a lot, but it not sound too bad. But when you look at $480,000, the superlative figure, a year, No, that is going to raise the eyebrow, right? You can even put weed. Suppose the man will smoke and you know how much weed you buy and you know how much you spend, right? So track it too. So let's say you spend, I don't know, I don't know much for weed. But let's say you spend $10,000 for the month on weed. That's $120,000 you spend on weed every month, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like put as many things on here as possible so that you know how much you're spending per year as well as per month. This helps you a lot with future planning, right? So for example, let's say you're trying to save $100,000, right? You can cut back on the weed. So let's say instead of 10,000, you spend 5,000 pound weed. You just save $60,000 less, all right? And then instead of 4 nights a week for party, a month, sorry, for party, you only party 3 nights a week, right? That's an next $120,000 less you save, right? So it's very important to track it monthly as well as yearly. All right, so I've gone ahead and updated some information here. Hopefully it's correct or close to what the actual expenses are in Jamaica. Comment below if it's not. Let me know when we get wrong, all right? All right, cool. So first thing I wanted to point out, again, the names here, you can always change it. If your name is John, that's fine. If not, you can change it to your actual name. So I just change it to my name here, Kamar. The next part you want to change as well as it relates to the personalization is, you know, on here, just change all of them to your actual name, right? Now, the other place you want to change it as well is in the income section, right? You also have an income section, and what this is going to do is calculate how much you're actually spending and how much money you have left after you have actually um how much money do you have left after all of these expenses, right? So, as I was saying, I'm just gonna walk you through it again. Now, again, go ahead and update the names accordingly. Now, for water, right now we have Jane paying $6,000 out of the water. JPS, we have 15,000. Rent, we have it's split between Kemar and Jane. Now, the thing that I wanted to point out here, this is for like a two-bedroom house, right? Let's say they have a two-bedroom house rented. Let's say Kemar was living alone and Kemar had to pay all the bills. Now, all of these expenses that are here would be moved over into Kemar's section, right? So that's something very important to point out because obviously if it's a single income, it can be a lot more hectic, right? But when you're living with somebody else, not saying that you don't think of moving with a woman, no, but when you live with someone it's a dual income household, it's much easier to budget your expenses here. All right. So I've updated like again partying and stuff like that. So once you've entered all of these different sections, also in this scenario, both of them have a car. I know it's not likely, but both the husband and the wife or the boyfriend and the girlfriend have a car, and we're gonna walk you through that as well. Now, if you notice, the Honda car payment is $25,000, but there's not a car payment for the Toyota because the Toyota was bought cash. So there's no car payment for that one. There's car insurance. There's also gas, both of them spending 25,000. And this is again just an example, just kind of showing you how these are all broken down, right? Cool, cool, cool. So I'm going to jump down here to the income section, right? And the reason I'm doing that is because I want to point out for you that after Kemar has sorry. So after Kemar has looked at all of his income here, so $178,000, we can see here is income that is recorded here. It's only $74,000. So how is he affording to spend 178? Fact of the matter is he can't, right? So what we're actually gonna have to do is we're gonna have to move some of the funds here over into Jane's column, right? All right, so let's go ahead and look at it. So let's say for the Honda car payment, I'm gonna leave that one. The car insurance. Oh, you know what? I forgot something. Guess what? Kemar has another income, right? So after Kemar realized what the expenses are for his household, he decided, hey, I'm gonna get a second job, you know. He couldn't get any job, but he was able to run Uber with his Honda, right? So now we're gonna have an expense column for Uber because he's driving for Uber part time, right? And while he's doing that, he's earning $100,000 a month driving taxi, running taxi. Okay, so with the extra income as well, I said Uber here, but it can be anything, as I said. So sometimes when you notice that the budget is not balanced and you need more money, that's definitely a good way. So figure out a way to get extra income. If you have a two-bedroom and you have one extra room, maybe you can talk to one of your friend them or something like that, draft up a rental agreement and rent out that room separate to a friend or somebody else, right? So now we got to move some of the expenses over into Uber. So what expenses would you move over into the Uber column? I'd say the expenses relating to that, right? So we're gonna move the gas over. We're gonna move the car payment over there. Let's see what else we can move. We can move the rent over there as well. And we can also move over we can also move over the grocery as well, right? So if we come back down here, we could see, is it balanced? It's not balanced yet because now Uber is overspending. So we can basically move something back, right? So instead of taking 25,000 for Uber, we could do 20,000 here and 5,000 here just to balance it out. Okay. Now, if you're looking at it, Kamara is still over budget. So we need to move some stuff over to Jane's column again. So we move in internet. She used most of the internet, She always watch Netflix, right? So we move on another 5,000. So now, what you can see here is that they're balanced. Okay. So after every month, after paying all of their bills, they have $13,450 left, right? Now, the one thing that we didn't look at is savings, and we're gonna jump into that shortly. But they have 13,000 after spending all of this on expenses and spending and saving some money here as well, right? So again, the reason we do that, and of course, you're gonna update the sections here. BR. So in the income section, what you want to track is anywhere you're getting money from. So for example, some people get money from Western Union. Nothing wrong with that, as long as it's legal, you know. Again, it's if it's income tracking, right? Maybe you sell some weed on the side, or maybe, once in a while you sell a one goat or you sell a one cow or something, right? As long as it's income, you need to track it on here so that you know how much money you're spending. But yeah, I was just saying, like, if you get money from your family, Western Union, family Western Union, that's what I'm talking about. Then you can definitely put it here as well. So let's say instead of Uber, it could be Western Union that's here. I'm not gonna put that in there, but just saying you could get money from overseas. Anyway, so yeah, so that kind of explains this section here. So we have the monthly income, we have your yearly income, your monthly spend, and your annual spend, and then we have your available spend. Now, again, this is what is left after you spend all of your expenses. Ideally you want this number to be zero or it to be positive, right? You should never have unbudgeted spend. You want it to be zero. And the reason you want it to be zero is because if you have extra money here, you should need to put it in savings or investment. Right? So for example, Jane right now, she has $13,000 extra. She could just put that in savings, right? To zero it out. Kamara has an extra 450, could just put that in savings to zero it out. Cool. All right, so we're gonna jump into savings now, just to kind of explain how to save, right? My theory, I'm going to call it a theory on saving, is basically if you do not have a child and you don't have those type of additional expenses like student loan and stuff like that, then you should be saving 30% of your income. Okay? 30%. And how you should break that 30% down is 10% should go to savings and 20% should go to investment. Right? So 20% of your money should be going to investments, 10% in savings. Now, it's not a perfect world, obviously. So if you can't do that, I don't want you to put yourself in debt to do that. But at the same time, I'll explain why you do that, right? So when you're saving, the primary purpose of saving, and when I say savings, I mean the traditional savings, is just in case something happens, right? So let's say, knock on board, you slide and broke your foot, you have some sort of medical expenses that you need to cover. That's where savings come in, right? So you shouldn't save more than 3 months of income. Once you get to 3 months of income, so if you make $150,000 a month, you need to save 450,000. Once you get to 450,000, that's it. Stop saving, right? Everything else needs to go into investment. No, the reason that it should go into investment, I don't want to, go on for too long, but I'll just do a quick explanation, right? So you have this thing called inflation, right? Inflation right now is about, let's say, 3% for argument's sake, right? When you're saving, money that you put into your savings account, you're not getting more than a 2% return. What that means is that you're losing 1% of income every year that you have money in your savings account. So you don't want to have too much money in there because you're basically losing money, right? If you don't know what inflation is, Google it. Or you can look it up, right? But basically, if you have $100 at the start of the year and inflation is 3%, it means that at the end of the year, your $100 can only buy $97 worth of stuff that it could buy at the beginning of the year, right? Anyway, again, you can Google it, get some more information on inflation, or of course, that information is also covered in my book, The Millionaire Syllabus, as well. You can get more information there.
Prosperity and knock on your door, me say. Wealth and love is around you everywhere. For your birthday, me pray the best come your way. Enough joy and light for brighten up your day.
The Millionaire Syllabus. Okay, so author Kamar Jackson basically took his own journey, from struggling financially to figuring it all out. And this book, it's like a roadmap, really practical, showing you exactly how to build wealth step by step. It's not just luck, right? First off, what's really neat is the syllabus structure. He breaks down getting wealthy into 4 key parts: getting smart about money, learning how to invest, actually starting businesses, and working on yourself. So you tackle it piece by piece, not just randomly hoping for the best. Second, Jackson gets right down to the practical stuff. Like, this isn't just vague advice about budgeting. No, it's about learning how to actually use your money smartly. Finding those high-yield investments and setting up income streams that kind of run themselves, stuff that really works for you. And finally, look, it's not all numbers, right? You gotta have the right mindset. Jackson talks about developing this millionaire mindset, which is all about constantly learning and improving and having real discipline. It's that mental game you need to actually stick with the plan even when things get tricky. So, bottom line, if you feel lost in all the financial complexity, the Millionaire Syllabus gives you that clear blueprint you need to actually move forward with confidence.
All right, so why are you putting money in investment? Now, investments on average, and again, you can Google this information, and before I say anything about investment, don't listen to a random guy on YouTube. When it comes to investment, talk to a licensed investment specialist at your branch, at your bank, at your investment house. Like, speak to some professional about it. Ensure you get the best information out there, right? All right, perfect, man. That's my disclaimer. Now, as it relates to investment, the reason you should invest is because investment generally gives you a 8% return on average, right? Stock investments can give you a 8% return. Other investments, it may vary. Again, speak to a licensed professional to give you some more information on that. Now, the reason why it's good to have an 8% return is because inflation is 3%, which means that if you're earning 8% a year, if you start with $100, at the end of the year, you're still going to lose the 3% for inflation, but you're gaining 8%, which means that you'll end up with $105 or $105 in value on your money, right? So yeah, definitely investment is the best way to go when it comes on to securing a financial future. Now, the reason that part of it is important, a lot of people don't invest, they don't understand it. And for the most part, most people don't understand investment. So don't feel like you're strange or you're the odd one out or whatever the case is, right? Most people don't understand investment. So going to a branch, going to investment house, whether it's JMB or Victor Mutual or First Caravan, whatever it is, Sagicor, maybe not SS, whatever the old one is, maybe not that one, but other investment houses, and speak to them and figure out what's the best investment option for you, and make sure that the one that you're choosing, it has a minimum of about 8% return year over year. All right. That's it, folks. So basically, I got the income here. And again, we want to keep this at zero. Now, one other quick thing I just want to say is, obviously, um, this is just a sample budget, right? So, if you're not making this much, then your expenses are definitely going to be different, right? Instead of a two-bedroom, if it's just the two of you, you can have a one-bedroom, and the rent could be cheaper. The other good thing that this budget allows you to do is, if you have a savings goal, you can look at what are you currently spending on right now, right? What are the things you're spending on right now? And you can decide that you're going to cut back on it, right? So just looking at this budget right now, I'd say maybe they could cut back on partying. So instead of partying 2 nights a week, they could party 1 night a week, right? Um, let's say for clothing for Jane, instead of spending 10,000, they could spend $5,000, right? And that frees up some money in the budget here, and that money can go into savings, right? And that can drive your savings goal. Because right now, if you're looking at it, they're saving like $512,000 a year, right? And again, if they wanted to save, way more than that, this money that they just saved from cutting out the partying and the clothes, you can just add it back over here, 15,000, 10,000, and now they're saving $700,000 a year from 500,000, right? So just kind of keep that in mind, and just remember that it's your budget. You decide how you want it to go, and how you want the year to end, and you could just make adjustments as you go along. If you notice, I have it laid out month over month. You don't have to do it every single month. However, if this is the first time budgeting, I'd say ensure that the first 3 months at least you're actually tracking the budget and tracking everything you spend. Because sometimes, as we all know, if you buy a 20 pound bag of rice, you're probably not use it half another month, right? So the next time you go supermarket, you're not have to buy rice. So costs can vary month over month. So that's why you want to track it every month to kind of get a better idea of how much are you really spending on this item. Same thing with gas, same thing with a lot of these stuff, right? Maybe car insurance, house payment, rent, some of these stuff, it's standard, it doesn't change, but other stuff that does change, if you track it for the first 3 months at least, you'll have a better idea of how much you're actually spending, and that can help you to budget for the rest of the year. All right. So that's all there is to it. So as I promised, I'll tell you exactly how to get this tool. So that is it, folks. So again, as I promised, I'm going to tell you how to get this tool for free. So follow us on YouTube and on Instagram. Once you've done that, just send us a message on Instagram on the Common Sense University page, and just let us know your username on YouTube just to verify that you did follow us, and we'll go ahead and send this over to you, okay? Also, to get the book, you could just click the link in our bio on Instagram or here on YouTube, and you'll see a link that takes you to my book, The Millionaire Syllabus, where it walks you through different ways of investing as well as ways to secure your financial freedom in the future, okay? If you found this video useful, please share it with a friend. You probably know somebody that would definitely need help with budgeting. So yeah, just go ahead and share it with your friends, and hopefully it's helpful for them as well. That's it. Thank you for joining us on the podcast today. Common sense make it make sense. Until we meet again. See you.
Wagwan, this is Elaine representing from 4BD. It's all about the best in men's fashion. Ladies, come here and get in some amazing clothes. Men, come fix up yourself and nice up for your life and your wife and all these things. Look here, this nice see? Ooh, yes, honey. That's something man so weird. 4BD. This is where you have to be. No glow. Mwah.